You'll price, you'll chase the paper banks, and you'll even name for the after savings and checks. Cash you catch, you paying respect. That for the consideration for the pressure for the presence to the states. Divided for the states of the mind. You have the amendment for the state of minds. You can't speak. State for the claims to the state farmers, and you cultivate for the state peace, mind, state piece of that paper to apply. Approach that for the apology to international for the logical. Layer to the versions, inversion that the venture for the vengeance, and you have that for the not for instance, but you would know. All of my heart for the songs, and you are now a part of, and I meant that for you don't know, for the you fear unknown, for the new, for you would be the future, for be great. Welcome that for the change to get here. Future was great for enough to proceed. Path for the demands you walk, that for the hell for the walk into the own place. What is important to live the life in intensity, order to awaken the consciousness that you be the attain, and a realization for the people who didn't realize that we're taking not for the talking, for the expert, for the have that expecting things in yourself, for the before that you can come do them, for the scissors are never cutting with over the edge, and that for the walking backwards, enough for the beastly most beautiful thing in the world, for the cannot be seen for the touch, heartfelt for the in the heart, live in the past that you dream you start, enjoy what is happening not right now, for the deep because you will have this something different than it is, and no time to miss around, no time to mess, know anything for the becoming alive, and never enjoy that what is happening. You can find a living in the past, half alive for the life and leaving self and the pity for the suffering of the tears. Well, life is going well for you can't find those ego and minds and control with it never to be the whole thing figured out. People to attempt to not look deeper for the mystery for the existence, that for the everything is going well, and never to find a place and not the strain for the anxiety, for the sorrow, for the empathy, the drive, for the consider, for the possibilities to borrow your life and none for the person, yourself for the total per person, the defects, and you can find the defect for the part of the person. Try to change for the person you love, that for the effort you change, same to that for the side you have, that for the other person you can find accepted. When you love for the simply love for the nobody else, baffling for the bind for the start for the feeling, God love for the guy for the very quickly, not for the I can hope with anybody for the nobody for the filling it up with something meaningless and rather what you want and experience the gap for the experience of the openness and the left and the bottom for the bloom but inside but never the bitter of the way out for the beneath that behavior. There's a feeling for the underneath that beneath everything you're feeling is in need. We met path and we meet the rather for the focus of behavior for the beginning to deal with the cause, not for the symptom, not for the believing outside for the agent for the creating the world for the walking away. But I feel very strong enough for the art of vision, never to die for the intelligence to work that for the flower, blade of grass, everything for the self, for the body, for the intelligence. Wouldn't say that for the creator of the universe. It's creating a universe for the organic process that we can kind of continue for the learning. Generation after that for the next to begin. Learn how to love for the non-discriminatory. Wait for the you could be the way for the intelligent enough. We are not in love and living as a species. With the practicing of peace and reconciliation for the one and the most. Vital for the least for the just be the artist of the human actions and world for the dream and full of attachments and aversions and seeming real enough for the awakening in their souls. Souls you do, egos don't. That for the soul for the do for the become a soul for the looking around for the become a ways. That for the world for the ways and this be the man and the people for the heart connection that we would know for the all for one. Human beings on the planet, we would be the one for the one love. Die for the living of the animals and the trees and the clouds and the galaxies and the all one place for the energy, for the possibility, for the happiness enough for the living and now for the condition to have you. Over the seas, over the pain, over that since I've seen the blind way, no idea. Happening for this to be the confederate, your rate for the pay, your respect to your use and your words, for the power to charge them for the debt, that day for the day, make the arrangement, for the payback for the disrupt, occupy for the swindling, for the swine you sweep, that for the off your feet, for the making it clean, get away for the vacation to advocate your time, terror, chariot to the clouds of your terrain, announce that for the drive, for the drown your smiles, piles of that for the shit to be the totals for the tolls, voting for the stages and seasons of the flavor, not for the seam to the come, for the seam to the simplify, complete for the chaos and chit-chat for the chain. Your Asian culture for the disasters for the relief. Relish that dog for the dogma for the Dalmatian, your tally. Dalai Lama for the drama for your impertinent. Impaired for the comment for the calm, your downturn to your rose. Die for the concrete, your greens, and turn up the world. Flowers. Your seeds for the soil, for the roots are not to be included. Equations. Equality for the equivalent, for the rights to prevalent. Wrongs. Left to the die for the die, for the no stains to be the pain. Heartbreak for the break out of your pores and pour. Out of those for the face of the oil, for the pimples out of your pop. Out that mirror for the we hate the drop in that beauty. Holding that for the regrets to re-get yet realign. Assigning to be assigned for the times and we can't tell the times. You have to watch out for the wall go down for the knocking down. Cause that for the fact for that you can be given away. genders. Your agenda for the not agreed upon, you're taking to the amount. Greed for that, the greed for the idolize those idle ideas and not be the past for your history. Thought for the ball, for the beat, the belt taken for that be taken. Serious to the energy for the searing for the serious star. Silence for stereotypes become serious as radio radicals. Radiation for the illuminated, for the aluminum, for the foil. That will spark out the light for the building of the bulbs. You'll build that for the bubbles, so they build the site for the destruction. Babylon and Nuke for the construction sites to employ. Many for the moon, for the man, for the moon. Manipulate for the mass and the massive. Infrastructure for the infantry, for the infant, for the influence. Infrared for the lights of the dark and the sight for the inferior infinite. Infestation for the infidelities the Castro won't put up without or without with the wars. And fit into the mouth of the sound for the eardrums. Nearsighted for the seed, no wrongs and news will be the ringing of the White House and the hanking from the towers and the dope of the towers and the towers there for the town for this be to get told away for the dear told you so for that for the fiend for the more for the everyone for the every the more for the moans morons and that for the money for the can't count the add the feeds and that's the feelings and the feed line for the lie for the lies the mean to say for the meaning for the manifestation for the doubts death for the debated debated for the rebates come in for that but the dark and the happy do for the closet the Q came out of that the tail for the come back with the comments and you guys that rock in the sky for the guys that right to have for the stars maybe that appealing for the meteors and the meteorites and the citations that meteor and that materials for the materialize that fabric for the repeat of what you saw for the see them for the rights and they left for the be wrong places complacent advocates for the advertisers adjacent to the hell for the who's in heaven sent for that to deliver the message when you are weak enough for the muscles and massage and I told you to be the misogynist for the married divorce to disperse needed for the restore those shelves and the laughing stock on the stack and the price and you know. The paper banks and you'll even name for the after savings and checks cash you catch you paying respect that for the consideration for the pressure for the presence to the states divided for the states of the mind you have the amendment for the state of minds you can't speak state for the claim to the state farmers and you cultivate for the state peace mind state piece of that paper reply approach that for the apology to international for the logical layer to the versions and version that the venture for the vengeance and you have that for the not for instance but you would know. All of my heart for the songs and you are now a part of and I met that for you. Your price, you'll chase the paper banks and you'll even name for the after savings and checks cash you catch you paying respect. Your price, you'll chase the paper banks. Your price, you'll chase the paper banks and you'll even name for the after savings and checks cash you catch you paying respect that for the consideration for the pressure for the presence to the states divided for the states of the mind you have the amendment for the state of minds you can't speak state for the claim to the state farmers and you cultivate for the state peace mind state piece of that paper reply approach that for the apology to international for the logical layer to the versions and version that the venture for the vengeance and you have that for the not for instance but you would know. All of my heart for the songs and you are now a part of, and I meant that for you don't know, for the you fear unknown, for the new, for you would be the future, for be great. Welcome that for the change to get here. Future was great for enough to proceed. Path for the demands you walk, that for the hell for the walk into the own place. What is important to live the life in intensity, order to awaken the consciousness that you really attain. And realization for the people who didn't realize that we're taking not for the talking, for the expert, for the have that expecting things in yourself, for the before that you can come do them, for the scissors are never cutting whether over the edge, and down for the walking backwards, enough for the beastly most beautiful thing in the world, for the cannot be seen for the touch, heartfelt within the heart, live in the past that you dream you start, enjoy what is happening not right now, for the deep because you will have this something different than it is, and no time to miss around, no time to mess, know anything for the becoming alive, and never enjoy that what is happening, you can find a living in the past, half alive for the life, and leaving self in the pity for the suffering of the tears, well life is going well for you can't find those ego and minds, control will never to be the whole thing figured out, people to attempt to not look deeper for the mystery for the existence, that for the everything is going well, and never to find a place and not for strain for the anxiety, for the sorrow, for the empathy, the drive, for the consider, for the possibilities to borrow your life and none for the person, yourself for the total per person, the defense, and you can find the defect for the part of the person. Try to change for the person you love, that for the effort you change, same to that for the savage you have, that for the other person you can find accepted. When you love for the simply, love for the nobody else, baffling for the bind, for the start, for the feeling, God love for the guy for the very quickly, not for the I can hope with anybody, for the nobody, for the feeling up, for the something meaningless and rather what you want, experience the gap, for the gap experience, the openness in the left and the bottom for the bloom in the side, but never the bit of it flying the way out for the beneath that behavior. There's a feeling for the underneath that, beneath everything the feeling is in need. We met path and we meet the rather for the focus of behavior, for the beginning to deal with the cause, not for the symptom, not for the believing outside, for the agent for the creating the world, for the walking away. But I feel very strong enough for the art of vision, never to die for the intelligence and work that for the fire, blade of grass, everything for the self, for the body, for the intelligence. Wouldn't say that for the creator of the universe. It's creating a universe for the organic process we can kind of continue for the learning. Generation after that for the next to begin. Learn how to love for the non-discriminatory. Wait for the you could be the way for the intelligent enough. We are not in love and only living as a species, but the practicing of peace and reconciliation for the one and the most. Vital for the least, for the just be the artist of the human actions and world, for the dream and the full of attachments and the aversions and seeming real enough for the awakening in their souls. Souls you do, egos don't. That for the soul, for the do, for the become the soul, for the looking around, for the become a ways. That for the world, for the ways, and this be the man and the people for the heart connection that we would know for the all for one. Human beings on the planet, we would be the one for the one love. That for the leaving of the animals and the trees and the clouds and the galaxies and all one place for the energy, for the possibility, for the happiness, enough for the living and now for the condition that you have availability for the good enough to appear that happy right now. You don't have to run into the future for the order to get that move more. And for the looking at for the body in store. In terms of the friend for the foe, brother for the that, for the den, for the way, for the mental energy, for the thought that you can find an immunity for the self, and everywhere for the admirable. Maybe the towards that for the to be treating and like open hearted for the compassion enough for the maintain your essential connections, and everything will be separate from herself and for another place. You can find anything in spite of your corpus spinus and nothing to something to me.
Checks cashed, you catch, you paying respect. That for the consideration for the pressure for the presence of the states. Divided for the states of the mind. You have the amendment for the state of the minds. You can't speak. State for the claims of the state farmers, and you cultivate for the state peace, mind, state peace, and that paper with reply. Process for the apology to international. You'll chase the paper banks, and you'll even name for the after savings and checks cashed. You catch, you paying respect. That for the consideration for the pressure for the presence of the states. Divided for the states of the mind. You have the amendment for the state of the minds. You can't speak. State for the claims of the state farmers, and you cultivate for the state peace, mind, state peace, and that paper with reply. Process for the apology to international for the logical. Layer to the versions and versions and version that the venture for the vengeance, and you have that for the not for instance. You'll price, you'll chase the paper banks, and you'll even name for the after savings and checks cashed. You catch, you paying respect. That for the consideration for the pressure for the presence of the states. Divided for the states of the mind. You have the amendment for the state of the minds. You can't speak. State for the claims of the state farmers, and you cultivate for the state peace, mind, state peace, of that paper with reply. Process for the apology to international for the logical. Layer to the versions and versions and version that the venture for the vengeance, and you have that for the not for instance, but you will know. All of my heart for the songs and you are now a part of, and I meant that for you don't know. respect, that for the consideration for the pressure for the presence of the states, divided for the states of the mind. You have the amendment for the state of the minds, you can't speak. State for the claims of the state farmers, and you cultivate for the state. Peace of mind, state peace of that paper reply. Post that for the apology, the international for the logical. Layer to the versions, inversion, that the venture for the vengeance. And you have that for the not for instance, and you would know. You'll price, you'll chase the paper banks, and you'll even name for the after state. You'll price, you'll chase. You'll chase the paper banks, and you'll even name for the after savings and checks, cash you catch, you paying respect, that for the consideration for the pressure for the presence of the states, divided for the states of the mind. You have the amendment for the state of the minds, you can't speak. State for the claims of the state farmers, and you cultivate for the state. Peace of mind, state peace of that paper reply. Approach that for the apology, the international for the logical. Layer to the versions, inversion, that the venture for the vengeance, and you have that for the not for instance, but you would know. All of my heart for the songs, and you are now a part of, and I meant that for you don't know, for you fear unknown, for the new, for you will be the future, for it be great. Welcome that for the change to get here. Future was great for enough to proceed. Path for the demands you walk, that for the hell for the walkers to the own place. What is important to live the life in intensely, order to awaken the consciousness you really attain, and a realization for the people who didn't realize. That we're taking out for the talking, for the expert, for the have that expecting things in yourself, for the before that you can come do them, for the scissors are never cutting for the over the edge, and that for the walking backwards, enough for the beastly boast, beautiful thing in the world, for the cannot be seen for the touch, heartfelt for the inner heart. Live in the past that you dream, you start. Enjoy what is happening not right now. For the deep, because you will have this something different than it is. And no time to miss around, no time to mess. Know anything for the becoming alive and never enjoy that. What is happening? You can find a living in the past. Half alive for the life of leaving itself and the pity for the suffering of the tears. Well, life is going well, but you can't mind those ego and minds. And control, but never to be the whole thing figured out. People to attempt to not look deeper for the mystery, for the existence. That for the everything is going well. And never to find a place and not for strain for the anxiety, for the sorrow, for the empathy, the drive for the consider for the possibilities to borrow. Your life and another for the person. Yourself for the total per person, the defense, and you can find that defect for the part of the person. Try to change for the person you love. That for the effort you change. Same to that for the savage you have. That for the other person you can find accepted. When you love for the simply love for the nobody else. Baffling for the buy for the start for the feeling. God love for the guy for the very quickly. Not for the I can hope with anybody for the nobody for the filling it up with something meaningless and rather what you want. Experience the gap for the gap for the experience of the openness and the left and the bottom for the bloom and inside and never the bitter for the blind way out for the beneath that behavior. There's a feeling for the underneath that. Beneath everything the feeling is in need. We met path and we meet the rather for the focus of behavior for the beginning to deal with the cause. Not for the symptom. Not for the believing in outside for the agent for the creating the world for the walking away. But I feel very strong enough for the art of vision, never that for the intelligence to work that for the fire, blade of grass, everything for the self, for the body, for the intelligence. When I say that for the created the universe. It's creating a universe for the organic process that we can kind of continue for the learning. Generation after that for the next to begin. Learn how to love for the non-discriminatory. Wait for the you can be the way for the intelligent enough. We are not in love with only living as a species. For the practicing of peace and reconciliation for the one and the most. Vital for the least for the just be the artist of the human actions and world for the dream and full of attachments and the aversions and seeming real enough for the awakening in their souls. Souls you do, egos do. That for the soul for the do for the becoming soul for the looking around for the becoming wings. That for the world for the ways and this to be the man and the people for the heart connection and we will know for the all for the one. Human beings on the planet, we will be the one for the one love. Not for the living of the animals and the trees and the clouds and the galaxies and all one place for the energy, for the possibility, for the happiness, enough for the living and now for the condition to have you have availability for the good enough to be that happy right now. You don't have to run into the future for the order to get that boom or ever looking at everybody in the store in terms of the friend for the foe, brother for the that for the den for the fitter for the way for the mental energy for the